Alright guys, so welcome back to GamerToday. If you guys are like me, you want to make video content on YouTube, or if you want to just make videos for yourself and your friends, you guys need a nice video camera. Something cheap and affordable is a good start, right? Everyone needs a place to start. And you know, there's just convenience too. Sometimes you need a camera that's just small and does what you need it to do. Well, bring to life the cheapest and best option you really can go with, that's full featured, mind you, the Vixia HF R800, and you guys can take a look here. It's such a hard name to pronounce. Canon actually has a bunch of different cameras in this line that are very similar in name that I'm going to put up on screen right now for you guys, and they're very similar to this product. This product just doesn't have the internal storage, and it can't write to the memory card as the internal storage at the same time. But other than that, it's almost the exact same camera, and you really cut out the cost if you just want to use an SD card, which is why this camera is pretty much the one for me. I don't mind using external storage, but all the other features of the camera besides dual recording, meaning going to the SD card and the solid state drive within the unit of the camera, is the same between this unit and the other models that are higher end or more expensive just because of the storage. Anyway, so let's get on with the review now that you know that. So I'm going to open up this bad boy on camera for you guys. The box itself, pretty cool. Gotta admit, I like it. Simple, easy to get with. Easy open design. You open it up on top like so. You get your instruction manual. Always important, read this if you need it, but this is a pretty straightforward camera. And as we open this bad boy up like so, everything is neatly and nicely tucked away and bubble wrapped, mind you. Pretty damn cool, if you don't say myself. Anyways, inside the box you get a mini HDMI cable. Very cool, very helpful. I didn't have one. You also get a micro USB, which is for data transfer. If you don't want to take out the memory card of this camera, you can always just use this. And also for firmware upgrades, if there aren't any for this particular camera. Other than that, you do get, oh my god, the big battery charger, which is actually a little bit heavy, but this is also your wall socket charger and battery charger, because the camera itself, once it's plugged in, can also become a charger. So this just charges the camera, and as a result will charge the battery if the battery is on the camera. Speaking of batteries and charging, here is the battery, which is not that big, to be honest with you. Look at that, take a look at that. That's not too big, very compact, very nice battery. And once you got all that out, then you got your piece of resistance, the camera itself. And look at that, it's nicely, cleanly bubble wrapped. That's it within the box. Look at that. Look at that. I love the fact they bubble wrapped it. Very nice. You take that out. Ooh, that feels so nice. Ooh, look at that, the little grip on the side there. God, love that. Look at that. It's got this little, like, leathery, fake leather kind of feel, like fox leather. Very cool. It's got that little band around it, and of course you can tighten or loosen depending on what you want, but I like it quite nice and tight there on my hand. And there you go. You got this nice thing, and of course the flip out screen, which you can see actually rotates and does this kind of number. So if I'm for some odd reason looking down like this from a macro shot or something, and it also flips over and it will auto rotate. And then one of the cool things is I can do something like this, and then look at that. I don't know why I would ever want to do this unless maybe I have something like over there in the subject, I'm just like watching it like this. That's pretty cool though. It's just a really weird option. It's a little tricky. You gotta actually fold it forward like this and just know to like do it. It feels so unnatural, but once you do it, it's pretty cool. On the actual camera itself, you have a manual shutter button like this. So it's on the side. Some people complain about that. That's not really a complaint for me. I like that because it's actually easier for me, and also in case for some reason I don't want to plug a battery in this, I can already open and close the shutter, so it's not a big deal. Also on the front of it you do have your two stereo microphones, and on the very top here you got your speakers, so if you want to listen to your audio from the camera that you just recorded, it's right there. So pretty cool. And then of course on top here you have your zoom features right there, your towards and from, so nice and easy. And you're on the back hand where you place your battery, which we will do. So it looks a little bit like this. Alright, let's put that battery in there. Ooh, nice slide, like a glove. So with the battery, it's got 305 grams, so about 10 ounces. Without the battery, it's a bit lighter. Anyway, so this unit came with 0 charge. Gonna have to charge this one. So the battery has no charge, which is good because that means the battery life will last a bit longer, more than likely. Now, if you do want to eject your battery, because I need to charge mine clearly because it's got no charge, right? Just go to the very bottom here, like so. There's a little lever like type switch. You want to hold it like this, push down, like so, and just go like this. So basically, to go on, after you match up the sides, like so, it clicks into place, it'll rattle very lightly. You see what I'm saying? Then I push down on that little lever right there, and there you go, slide it right off. Very straightforward, very simple. On the side of the actual camera there, you have your on button, your off button. You also have your playback button, which will show you anything that you basically, your videos, your pictures, that kind of thing. Yes, this thing can actually do pictures. Not very high quality, high-end pictures, but it does do pictures. Anyway, you also got your AV out, and you've got your mic. So pretty much your audio video jack, you've all seen a red, white and yellow cable, and you also know what a mic jack is, which is cool. Make sure you guys are getting the powered mics, meaning if you don't have a battery or some sort of powered preamp inside the mic, this does not have a preamp. It's a basic standby, basically system. Meaning if you don't have the right type of jack, it's not going to work and you won't be able to power it and it won't be able to use external audio. So make sure you get something that actually has a battery to it. Anyway, on the side of that as well, you do have an HDMI out, which is a micro HDMI out, and then of course you have the USB, which again is for transferring data or for upgrading the firmware. And last but not least, on the side, it's almost well hidden. You've got an SD card right there. You can put that in there, and of course it uses micro or full-size SDs. Of course, if you use a micro, make sure you have the converter piece, that's all. Very straightforward, very simple. I love it. It's so nice in my hand. I really do appreciate it. Now, if you're wondering where the charging port is, it's actually on the side right here. And this is where you plug it in. So it's kind of a weird, little adapter there. I'm going to try to show you guys on camera. But it's a little weird size. One of the weird things I did forget to mention is actually, the record button. It's right there on the top back here, like so, see? Pretty straightforward, I like it, but some people may not find it. So there it is, it's a red button. It's pretty easy to find. I love how easy that really is to get to. So that's the overall basics of this camera, but there's some cool features that this camera has that a lot of cameras really don't have in this price range, and this is what makes it basically special to me. Of course, it's got a 30x2 optical zoom, which means the actual lens will go 32 times the zoom, which is pretty cool. Now, keeping in mind of that, it's based on a 1.6 crop factor, which is like all the Canon cameras, using an APS-C sensor, which means it's using basically what you'd get in a crop-sensitive camera, what most of the cameras that you guys are seeing people use for YouTube, and video production for that matter, on YouTube, of course. Which is basically the equivalent of a 35mm film camera, and this is what you're seeing filmed on right now. It's an APS-C sensor, 1.6 crops, with the Canon. You guys are watching me on a Canon SL1 currently. Very cool camera as well. But this camera actually goes up to 57 times advanced zoom. What that means is it's got 30 times optical zoom, which means the lens will go 30 times basically closer. But here's the deal, it uses software to kind of fix and basically crop in using some special software to get up to 57 times, basically zoom. It's like an artificial zoom in a way. It's an interesting way of doing it. And a lot of cameras you'll see over the time have done that, but this one actually does a good job. Another thing to mention is you do have a touchscreen, of course, and I mentioned that it's a capacitive touchscreen, which means I can't do two-finger gestures, meaning if I touch this screen, right, if I'm touching it here, it's not going to register me touching it here or anywhere else. It's capacitive, much like a DS, for instance. If you remember the Nintendo DS, it's like that. You just, one place that you push on it, it'll work. Doesn't need to have a fingerprint. You can use a stylus for all I care. Doesn't really make a difference. It's just going to pick it up. Anyways, you can see I've smudged up that screen now. Thanks a lot, right? Anyway, the whole point is it's touch screen, which means I can actually use touch to focus. So if I see myself, say I'm filming you guys right now, if I would touch this, it would put a little box above the head and it would actually track where you are. And this camera does a good job of it. It's actually faster than the SL1 I'm using right now. So hopefully, yeah, this is a pretty good camera. I might actually be able to get more use for you guys with this camera as well. So very cool. Playback features. This has a slow down feature when I'm watching video, and if I want to slow it down frame by frame, if I want to go faster with it, if I want to change the video speed, I can. There's some slow motion features, fast frame features. Pretty cool. And I will admit, I really do enjoy that. It is a really cool camera. I just want to keep playing with this door because it's just so much fun. And of course, I love that switch. And the design of the, obviously a lot of people complain about the microphones being on the front of it. Again, you can use external audio, so there's really no reason to complain. But there's some people say, oh, it's not the best quality. They're pretty damn good quality. You guys are going to hear at the end of this video what you can get with this bare bones, with just this camera, no external microphones, nothing like that. Anyway, and me being a decent distance away from the camera, mind you, because this is a pretty zoomed in camera. It's going to start in a little bit closer than most cameras would. So it's going to be a little bit closer up because it's a video camera. I have to admit, I love the strap. This is a really cool thing. And And also speaking of the zoom now, so it's got variable zoom and it's also got fixed zoom. Fixed zoom is basically 3 levels of zoom. You know, I got 1, 2, and 3. 3 levels of zoom. Variable zoom is cool too because it's got 15 levels of variable zoom, which isn't the most I've ever seen on a video camera. For $200 though, that's really good. Yeah, this camera is like a $200 to $250 camera. That's not bad at all. And on top of that, so you got a variable, which means again how hard or how fast I press on this is going to make those levels go faster. So if I go holding it down as hard as I can this way, it's going to go those 15 levels faster than if I go a little bit, you know, at a time. So it's kind of interesting, which means I'll go closer or farther away from my subject or my actor or whoever's in frame or whatever's in frame for that matter. It'll go closer and faster farther away, you know, based on how I'm using this, and my decision actually matters. Like in a video game, if I'm using a joystick and I go all the way forward with the joystick, my character should start running or at least go that direction faster, you would think, normally. But anyways, it depends on the game. But anyway, you know what I mean. Now for you kids out there who like to handy cam things like this, right? Because, you know, you guys like the whole, oh, it's Cloverfield, ah, okay, you like that stuff, right? Well, this camera actually features 5-axis image stabilization, which uses the whole roll factor, the vertical, the up and down, left and right, of course, all those things. And it's pretty cool. You know, the roll factor is a big thing because, you know, when you're doing this handy cam thing, a lot of people like to do this number. I don't know why. I don't do that. I'm very steady with my hands when I film handycam, but some of you guys, like for instance, if I was filming handycam, I would hold my body close and tucked in and tight like this. You know what I'm saying? Like I tuck my arms in and stuff. But you guys don't know this shit and you guys don't do it, so whatever. I like to tuck, and every position I'm in, my arms need to be tight and level, like so. So whatever, that's a good tip. Maybe another day we'll do a video on that. But anyway, so it got all that, and then on top of that it's got something called super optical image stabilization, which is just a silly thing, mixed with dynamic image stabilization, which all equates to your shot is going to be steadier. Okay, it's going to do its best job to use basically gyroscopic technologies and different sensor technologies to give you guys a more, you know, ideal image stabilization. But there's only so much that we can really do. When someone's doing this, it's going to look like shit. It's just what it is. If you are steadier with the camera, this should help a lot. But if you're not super steady and you have a hand that does this, this will still help. Speaking of this number, if I'm zoomed in, you know, far away, I'm like, oh my god, my subject's way over there, right? If I'm zoomed in like so, and again I told you guys, you know, when you zoom into something from a long distance, or if you zoomed into something even close up, it's going to be like easy to get out of frame, right? So what I'm zoomed into now is like this much on the screen, it's like all the way up, it's blown up in your face, right? Well, if I start doing this, it's going to go out of frame, right? Well, this camera has a thing called framing assist. What's good about framing assist, and it's been featured in many cameras, is basically it'll take whatever's the subject and it'll focus on it with that touch focus, right? So I touch the focus, it knows that's what it needs to assist me in putting in the frame. Now once I've done that, if I go out of frame a little bit, it might zoom out for me, which is kind of a nice thing. You can turn this off if you don't like it, and it'll try to optical image stabilize the shot, meaning it knows I'm doing this, so it'll try to fix what I'm doing wrong and keep it in the shot as long as it can. Of course, if I'm here looking at this and all of a sudden I'm over here, it's not going to be able to do that. But if I'm just a little bit off, it might adjust it, go back a bit like this, and adjust it for me. That is cool. Now, one of the other weird things about this camera is it's only 3.28 megapixels full HD camera. But what that means doesn't really equate to what we think of with pictures. This is not a great picture camera, no doubt about it. You might be able to take a decent picture in decent setting with good lighting and all that. It's going to look okay, but it's not going to replace a DSLR camera or even your phone, okay? It's not going to be that good. But what you will get with it is a pretty good damn camera for video, because video doesn't require the same type of megapixel count that a picture does. Picture quality actually matters more because you're trying to really blow up the picture. The higher the megapixel, the more I can zoom in. With video, that's not really necessarily needed. You see what I'm saying? With a picture, if I have a 24 megapixel camera and this, you know, it blows the picture up, I'm worried about my size. How big can I make this picture in the real world? Meaning, if I get this wall, how big on this wall is it going to fit? That kind of thing. With video, it's not necessarily worried about that. You have a standard frame size, which in this case is APS-C sensor 1.6 crop factor, based on a 35mm film camera, which is obviously lower than the industry film standard for movies, and so is the full frame camera, so let's not get on that topic. But anyway, the whole point is, It's going to be smaller, but that is the maximum frame size of video you can really get with this. In today's day and age, that really doesn't matter because software and all these different programs actually do all the work for us. And the aspect ratio is the same, so it really doesn't look different to us. But if we were to put this on a film strip, it would look different. So what I'm basically saying is it doesn't need all that to make it work. In simple layman's terms, we don't need all those, extra bells and whistles to make good video. That doesn't really come into play until we start talking about frame rate, until we start talking about different aspect ratio, or until we start talking about resolution. For instance, 1080p would take more than 720p, which will also take more than 480p, which would take more than 360p, 240p, and 144p. Which, again, if you're using any of those lower standards, I mean, come on, really, let's be honest, what are you filming with that? Anyway, or if you're talking 4K, then this camera would be very insufficient for 4K, which it doesn't do 4K. This camera does 1080p and 720p respectively, and if you're using any lower standard than that, you're pretty much, I don't know what you're filming at this point. I mean, unless grandma's that ugly. But anyway, here's the point, guys. If you're recording with this thing, you can get a long time of recording. They claim that you can get like 4 hours with 1080p with 64 gigabytes memory card, which is what I'm going to be using here, and 4 hours is about right. They also say, that there's not this huge difference between the frame rate in the buffer, because it's like, you get 35 megabits per second, which is the right speed generally for 1080p video at 60 frames per second with this camera. Now, and keep in mind, this is a variable number because it can go up and down depending on how it's focused and how much is on screen, how much light is coming in, all these different things. It's always going to be slightly off. There's no exact number for any camera in the entire friggin' world. It's always going to be, hey, this is more than this is less than this. There's no way to really number it. It's just an average median number. So that number could change, which means no statistic is going to be 100%. You might not get 4 hours worth of video recording. You might get 3 hours. You might get 3.5 hours. It just depends on, obviously the setting and what's going on with the camera. No way to know that. It's just basically, these are numbers on paper. Numbers on paper don't equate to real world performance. Battery life for this camera should be about 2 to 3 hours at least, I would think. Roughly about 2.5 hours would be an average median for what I would say this camera can actually do. One thing weird to mention, it might be a turn off to you guys, is this camera can only shoot in MPEG-4, which is a good standard, don't get me wrong. Did want to mention though, if you have a 64 gigabyte memory card, one of the cool things is if you record at 720p, they claim you should be able to get about 17 hours worth of video. Now I don't know how true that is, but of course, if that is the case, that is insane. Can you imagine having 17 hours worth of video footage to edit? Oh my god. And for you nerds out there, I just want to mention this is a focus through the lens system, which means it focuses based on what it sees through the lens. The lens does the work for the camera body. The camera body is not focusing, the lens does it, but the lens can't be changed. So yeah, you can actually put additional lenses on top of this, but they really don't do anything. I don't know, I see a few YouTubers actually trying that. It doesn't do much. All you're doing is lowering the quality of your actual image because you're making something else. You're making glass go through glass to see you. It's like you already got a bunch of glass on the front doing its thing, and now you want to put more glass on front of that? Like, that doesn't actually increase the video quality. I'm going to put a video real quick up on screen of some idiot who does that and actually has a lot of views on this video, but it's just stupid because everything he's teaching in the video is kind of, it's not very helpful. So there is a lot of modes for this camera and lots of like effects and stuff. Let's talk about some of those. Mode-wise, I'm going to have to read this off the sheet because I couldn't remember it all. Portrait, sports, snow, beach mode, sunset scene, night, low light, spotlight, fireworks, fireworks mode. You got cinema standard, vivid, cool, sepia, and old movies. Those are more like your effects. Okay, so you got your modes, which are basically optimizing this lens with, obviously the lighting condition associated to these particular, settings, meaning portrait scenes and all those. Night mode, obviously low light help, it's night mode. Of course, it tries to compensate for the fact that there's not a lot of light. Just like low light mode has another compensation for low light settings, generally expected indoors or very dark spots outside. So that's pretty much what it is. Like I said, there's a bit of a thing going on. Spotlight mode, that kind of thing, fireworks. Those are more, modes that are kind of like ideal for certain situations. Alright guys, so I'm going to try to finish up this review using the Vixia camera that we've been basically reviewing the whole time. So, it looks good. I really do like it. I don't know if this particular setting is the one for me. This is the absolute automatic mode, meaning the camera's doing all the decisions for me. I don't know how good this looks. Normally when I use my SL1 or any other camera, usually I don't use automatic mode. The only time I ever use automatic mode was with the Sony that I had, which is very good with the auto intelligent mode. But I've never really used a lot of Canon automatic mode, so hopefully this looks good to you guys. Anyways guys, what do you think of the quality of this? I'm going to use the onboard microphones for this part of the video as well, so everything you're hearing or seeing is all from the camera directly. What do you guys think? Automatic mode, amazing or what? Pretty cool though, right? We're going to try one more thing. I'm going to actually stop this part of the video and I'm going to try cinematic mode and see how the difference looks for cinema mode. I'm just curious how this camera handles cinema standard mode. Again guys, I tried to get a very similar shot, but this is now using the cinema style basically. I just was curious what this is going to look like, if it's usable or not in this bright setting. When I go to edit it, will it be actually useful? I don't know. I'm going to throw this in as a bonus feature for you guys. Anyways guys, yeah, I tried to get a very similar shot for you guys between my SL1 and the Vixia camera that I'm using now, and it's pretty possible. It looks very good from what I'm seeing. Hopefully you guys can be the judge. Tell me in the comment section down below if this video helped you learn anything about the camera, and if you just like what you see, if you like the quality. Of course I wore this shirt so the color reproduction would be pretty easy to see with this camera how good the color really is. White background, white shirt, black background, a lot of facial hair right now, so you can pick up on the facial hair and see how good it actually picks up on detail. I'm going to get a bit closer for you guys as well. You guys can see how it picks up my face and tracks my face for autofocus, pretty good. I'm actually seeing this little box go right with me very well, actually better than my SL1, which is a bit slow for my standard of autofocus, so this is pretty cool. I like it. It's just slightly a bit faster, but it's noticeable, and I really do like that. So again, real close detail. I'm going to give you a video of my tattoo there. You guys can see right there. My tattoos on my hands, arms, I made my wrists. See if that picks up anything very well on that. There we go. If you guys are looking to do something on YouTube, this is a great camera to go with. No doubt about it, it speaks for itself. But even if I didn't, I told you guys a lot about the camera. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thank you, till next time.